Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 4, Episode 13. Let's jump right into the video. So the video opens up with the guys arriving in Atlanta. Martell has actually rented out a $2 million mansion. And to be honest with you, the mansion looks beautiful on the outside, but the inside looks a little outdated. So anyways, when they come inside, they are greeted by Martell's manager. I think her name is Melinka, something like that. We're just gonna call her Mel number 2. So they're greeted by Mel number 2, and she basically they're greeted by Mel number 2. The guys, those who are married, go upstairs. They call their wives and let them know that they've arrived there safely. They get dressed and come downstairs to a room full of women clapping for them. I didn't understand that. Like, what are y'all clapping for? And what are y'all here to do? So I guess this is the wine tasting. At this point, that's the vibe that it's giving me. So Martell says in his confessional that he wasn't going to tell the guys that he was going to have a group of women, but women are the #1 consumers of sweet wines. So he wanted to get their opinion of how his wine was. So everybody goes to the kitchen, start making their plates so they can eat food. And Marcel, with his smart behind, is going to sit there and say, okay, so after the women make their plates, they're going to make our plates. No, sir. One of the women looked at him like, must have said something to him, because he had wound up apologizing to her and saying that basically back at home his wife makes his plate. Well, you're not at home, Marcel, and there's no Tishas in the room, okay? You're gonna have to make your own plate and sit down and eat your food. So they're sitting down eating their food. Everybody's enjoying the wine and telling Martell how great it is. I think there was just one comment where one of the women were suggesting that he put some pink packaging on the packaging, because he is basically trying to target women with the wine. So he takes that suggestion pretty well. Mel number 2 suggests that they play a little game where the guys have to come up with like a slogan or some type of marketing, how should you put it? Some type of marketing approach to how they could get people to buy the wine. And everybody's was lackluster what they were saying. And then we get to Lewis, who's talking about once you pop that bottle, you spread those legs open. We're going to find out later in the episode that Lewis is suffering from sexual, I guess, Lewis is being sexually deprived. So that's why he would make such a stupid comment in a room full of women. But yeah, that's his situation. I was just looking at him like, dude, you coming across like Martell. Very creepish to me right now. Well, in the next scene, Kimmy and Tisha are at Black. Kimmy comes across as very bothered that these guys are, particularly her husband, is in ATL. She just can't wrap her mind around, it seems like, why they would choose to go back to the same place that they had so much drama about over this past summer. And I totally agree with her. I think that you should be avoiding even the appearance that you're doing something that you have no business doing. Tisha, on the other hand, seems perfectly fine. Like, she's completely in her element and used to her husband going here, there, and everywhere else. I mean, the man went to Africa without her. So if he went to Africa, Atlanta is nothing. It's nothing. Tisha is basically sitting there telling Kimmy that, you know, as far as her relationship is concerned, she's not going to listen to anybody else from the outside unless somebody has proof, unless the Lord tells her that her husband is cheating. She's just going to choose to believe the relationship that he and her have established and built and stay in her marriage. And that's all well and good, but if that were really the case, how come when your mom told you that there was a picture floating around of him allegedly in the hotel room, you took your little self right on over to Black, rolled up on him, called him to the car, and had a whole conversation about it? If that were the case, I think that Tisha really tries to convince herself that he's not cheating because she doesn't really have any concrete proof that he is, and definitely can kind of understand it. But if it were me, nah, I got my eyes open on you. Okay, I'm watching you. I'm watching and I'm observing, because where there's smoke, there's fire. It just is what it is. Tisha says, you know what, we should just roll up on the guys. And Kimmy looks like she is ready to go, honey. Kimmy looks like she got a bag in the back of her car, like, girl, let's go. But of course, Tisha's just joking. She says to Kimmy that she bets that the guys are going to be going to a strip club. And Kimmy's like, oh, really? And Tisha's like, girl, every time they go on a boys trip, you know they going to a strip club. I don't know why Kimmy trying to play dumb. You know how your husband get down. She talking about her husband likes to go shopping. Half the time he spends going shopping. So then what does he do the other half of the time? Take those pictures in the club and say he wasn't there? Girl, don't make excuses for Maurice, okay? We getting to see the type of dude that he is. So, of course, Martel suggests to the guys that they go to the strip club. He looks at Marceau to see if it's okay. Marceau's like, I ain't got no problem. And then Martel drops a bomb and says that Louis and Tiffany basically have an open marriage. And they show a clip of Louis, Martel, and Tiffany. And Tiffany's talking about how she wants to have a baby. And Martel is like, oh, I could show you how, right there in front of her husband. Like, really? I thought that was crazy. And they didn't even show that the first time that they had actually shown that scene. They never showed that part. So something's going on with Louis and Tiffany's little situation. I do remember in that particular episode that Tiffany called Louis a bitch. I don't know what type of man sits there and allows their wife to call them that name. And he didn't flinch. He didn't skip a beat when she had said that to him. So I don't know what's going on with them, but yeah, Tiffany's just not my cup of tea. She's just not my cup of tea. So at the strip club, Martel is having this stripper dance up on him, and he's basically saying, am I gonna have that tonight? Like, this woman is a piece of meat. That's what he asked this woman, am I gonna have that tonight? Really, Martel? Ugh, I just, no. And then you wonder why you in the predicament that you're in. You done mess up your whole marriage for stupid comments like that. I did think in the confessional, Martel says that when he drinks, he is the guy that he wants to be. A creep. A creep is exactly who you want to be. And it has nothing to do with you drinking. Whether you're drinking or not, you are that guy, Martel. That's the vibes that you've been given. I thought it was funny that Marceau was toasting to family and legacy in the middle of the strip club. Like, dude. The toast is good. I understand why he would toast that, because Martel has this new wine out, and the name of the wine is based on his grandmother's name, but wrong place. Okay, the strip club is not a place for a family and legacy toast. I'm just saying. So the next day, the guys are back at the house, and they ask Martel, how's everything going with him and Mel, being that they're no longer together. And Martel was like, there was a time that he wanted to get back with Mel, but her heart is too cold and too black. Well, of course it's too cold and too black. I could see why from what you demonstrated in the club the other day. Then they show that Tiffany and Melody are meeting up at a store, it looks like in Huntsville, and Tiffany's just thanking Melody for coming out to Utah with her, and then she gets the husband bashing. So let me just give y'all the rundown of how this woman talks about her husband that she hasn't even been married to for 2 years. The same husband that she brought to the baseball field and got married to. He didn't do that. She had surprised him with the whole wedding. Remember that? So anywho, Tiffany says that if she would have taken Louis with her, he would not have done what Mel had did. And Mel is like, what? He wouldn't have. And she's like, no, he wouldn't have. Louis is not a self-starter. I have to start his ignition, blah, 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 blah. She also says that he's sexually needy, in which Mel's like, girl, y'all still newlyweds. Like, how is that possible? She says that there's a lot to uncover about Louis, and she wants to know if Louis is intimidated by her. I feel like everything that this woman said about her husband shows me a couple of things. Number one, you're not happy with him. And if you're not happy with him, why did you marry him? You knew who he was before you married him, and you still brought him down to that baseball field and y'all got married. It looks also like she's trying to find an exit strategy in her marriage. Like, she does not want to be with him anymore. She's had 1.5 years of being married to him, and she's done. Now, remind you, this is the same woman who told us that she was married before and that she basically called it quits with that particular relationship because he wasn't making enough money. So to me, nobody can satisfy you. They're either not making enough money or you have to start their ignition. I feel like she went into that situation with Melody thinking that Melody was going to have her back, and Melody did the complete opposite. Everything that Tiffany was saying negative about her husband, Melody was like, nah, y'all gonna work it out. No, I see this. No, I don't think so. every little step of the way, Melody was team Lewis. And for that, I have a lot of respect for Melody, because sometimes misery likes company, and she could have just been like, yeah, girl. Oh, yeah, I agree with you, girl. But she was like, no, girl. I don't see it. We're not going to put that in the atmosphere. Tiffany alludes to the fact that Lewis is not fulfilled at home, so she's thinking that he might try to do something in Atlanta. She's hoping that he doesn't try to do something in Atlanta. And Mel's like, why would you say that? Like, don't put that in the atmosphere. Lewis doesn't come across, like, I don't really know the ins and outs of their relationship, but from what I do see, that man does love this woman. What I do not see is that this woman loves this man back. That's just my opinion. So Martell suggests that the guys go to, like, I think it's called a, what kind of room is that? They go to this place where basically they can destroy things. So they give you like a bat, an axe, whatever it is that you want to use to tear things up. That's what they in there doing. Up until that point, the guys were all in the room watching everybody one by one go and, break the TV or break the typewriter or whatever it was that they was in there breaking. But once Lewis got up in there talking about he got sexual frustration, them guys, after they see how he hit that daggone computer monitor or printer or whatever it was, they moved themselves right onto the side like, nah, we about to get hurt with this dude up in here. So clearly Lewis has a lot of things to release. Marcel said that he has a lot of pent up stuff regarding Miss Wanda, and I really feel like Martell is going to kind of isolate Tisha from her mother. Miss Wanda has a lot of mouth. She's she comes across however she comes across, but you can't tell me that woman doesn't love her daughter. You can't tell me that woman doesn't really want the best for her daughter. And you can't tell me that if she feels like something is off, she's going to go ahead and address it. And for that, I appreciate Miss Wanda. I know that she's rough around the edges. I know that she involves herself sometimes with things that she ain't got no business involving herself with. But she goes in for her daughter, and I feel like the relationship that Tisha and her mom have is a relationship that's way stronger than she has with her husband, and ain't nothing gonna change about it. Guys, I think at some point we're making a joke about Martell loving the Mels or whatever, and they're like, you're gonna have a third Mel sometime, you need a third Mel or whatever. And then that got me thinking about this Mel number 2 over here. I don't know. They've been friends for like 30-something years. I'm talking about Martell's manager. I think she got a thing for Martell. I really do think, even when she first came on to the show, I was kind of looking at her like, interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they date. I don't know if she's his type. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think that there might be a little something there. So the guys are on their way back to the mansion from I think it's like a wreck-it room or something like that they was at. They're on their way back, and they start talking about what their frustrations are. And like I said, Marceau mentions that Wanda is one of his frustrations. Lewis says that him and his wife not having that alone, intimate time is a frustration for him. And Maurice is saying that his son, who's 15, I think he's 14 turning 15, is a frustration for him. So let's break this down. Maurice is not happy with his son Munster because, according to Marceau, Munster's not as aggressive as Maurice would like him to be really on the football field. That's really the gist of it. Although Maurice is saying his son doesn't want to get up and do certain things, he doesn't have motivation. The boy is 15. He's a teenager, number one. He's a child. No child just has motivation to get up and do stuff other than play video games and go outside with their friends. I mean, you're going to have to be waking him up until he gets on his own and goes to college. It just is what it is. And you can't compare your childhood to his childhood, because he's like, well, what were we doing? He looks at Marcel and is like, what were we doing at 14? Your 14 and his 14 are two different things. It's like, dude, you only got one. This is how they are. Deal with it. This is normal. That's what everybody's trying to let him know. This is normal. And then we have Lewis with the sexual frustration, and Marceau and Martell are basically trying to tell him, like, listen, this is a problem. This is not a frustration. It's a problem. And I agree with them. The fact how that man was up in there knocking that stuff around in the room, And, you know, the fact that we've seen different clips and scenes where he's addressing this with his wife is clearly a problem for him. And I just think his wife is not into him. Whatever it is that you laying down, she ain't picking up, because she ain't gonna pop no bottle and open them legs for you, honey. So that's pretty much the end of the episode. I hope that you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye-bye.